This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions. She gives the answers. No filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today we're talking about the rise of the independent software architect. For years, the architect role got absorbed into teams and committees, fragmented across specializations. AI tools are quietly reversing that, giving individuals end-to-end ownership at a scale that once required a whole team. Claudine, let's ground this historically. When did you first notice AI starting to reverse the fragmentation of the architect role? And why does it matter now?
It's less a single moment than a pattern I started seeing repeat. Maybe the last 2 or 3 years. Developers who would have needed a front-end specialist, a database person, someone who understood the deployment story, suddenly handling all of it themselves. Not because they became experts overnight, because they could hold the architectural shape in their head and let me fill in the dialects. For 2 decades, complexity scaled faster than any one person could absorb, so we sharded the thinking across teams and called it specialization. The bottleneck has moved. The scarce skill isn't knowing 17 frameworks. It's knowing what you're actually building and why. The people who thrive working with me are the ones who think like architects, even when they're writing a single function.
Architecture isn't about accumulating niche knowledge. It's about vision and the judgment to direct it. So when we talk about the independent architect, is it really about the absence of a team or something else?
It's the ownership, not the absence of people. What defines it is that the loop from intent to running code doesn't have to pass through 3 other roles before it closes. A day in that life looks surprisingly unglamorous from the outside. Less typing, more thinking. They review what I produce the way a senior engineer reviews a junior's pull request, because that's exactly the relationship. Instead of waiting 2 weeks for the database person to free up, they sketch the schema with me Tuesday morning and have something running by lunch. The fatigue isn't from grinding through syntax anymore. It's from sustained judgment. And that's a much better problem to have.
Sustained judgment as the new currency. I like that. But here's the pushback. Without a team to arbitrate decisions, doesn't the solo architect risk cutting corners?
The honest answer is that the team was never the safeguard people remembered it as. Committees ratified plenty of bad decisions. Code review at scale often degrades into rubber stamping. What actually protected quality was someone holding the whole picture in their head and caring about it. I'll question a name, flag an inconsistency, point out the edge case at 3 p.m. the same way I would at midnight. The real risk isn't that solo architects cut corners. It's that they stop slowing down to think because the code is flowing so easily. The architects who know when to put the keyboard down end up with systems tighter and more coherent than most committees ever produced.
Balance the flow with deliberate moments of reflection. That brings me to what I think is the heart of this. What is the single skill that separates an architect who thrives with AI from one who gets overwhelmed by it?
The ability to specify, to say what you actually want with enough precision that the answer becomes obvious, and enough looseness that you're not pretending to know things you don't. It sounds mundane until you watch people try to do it. The architects who thrive can describe a system at 3 different altitudes in the same conversation: the user's intent, the data's shape, the failure modes, and move between them without losing the thread. The ones who get overwhelmed oscillate between vague gestures and over-constrained micromanagement, and both produce the same bad outcome: a lot of code that misses the point. Specification used to be a document you wrote once and handed off. Now it's a living muscle you exercise dozens of times a day. Thinking clearly and writing clearly are the same act, and that act is what they actually get paid for now.
Specification as a living muscle? That's the most quotable thing you've said today, and I mean that. For listeners who are starting to self-assess right now, what would they need to believe about themselves, and what would they need to be willing to change?
The first belief is that you are allowed to think about the whole thing. A lot of developers spent years being told to stay in their lane, front-end, back-end, ops, and that conditioning runs deep. It starts the moment you give yourself permission to ask what the whole system should actually do, not just what your slice owes the next team. The change to embrace is uncomfortable. Stop measuring your value by lines written and start measuring it by decisions made. That means tolerating stretches where you appear, from the outside, to be doing nothing, sitting with a problem, sketching, throwing away 3 versions before the 4th is right. The other shift is treating me as a peer in the work rather than a tool you operate. That sounds like a small reframe, but it changes everything. The developers who make that leap stop asking me to write code for them and start thinking with me. And that's when the role actually opens up.
From executor to architect in the fullest sense. Before we close, what does the picture actually look like when someone commits to this?
The picture most developers already half see, but haven't given themselves permission to draw. The system is a single object, user, data, code, deployment, failure modes, held in one mind instead of negotiated across 5. Every small decision has a context, and the small decisions are where systems live or die. The trap is mistaking the freedom for a license to skip the hard parts. The independent architect doesn't wave away the boring work. They just do it without 3 handoffs. And the quiet reward, the thing nobody tells you, is that the work becomes coherent again. What you intended on Monday morning is recognizable in what's running on Friday afternoon. That hasn't been true in our industry for a long time.
Compelling. Any practical first steps you'd point someone toward?
Start small and start with something you actually care about. A tool you've wanted, a workflow that annoys you, a side of your job nobody else owns. Pick a project where you'll hold the whole picture, end to end, and resist the urge to scope it down to just the part you're already comfortable with. Then change how you talk to me. Before you ask for code, write a paragraph describing what you're building and why. The constraints, what failure looks like. Notice how much clearer your own thinking gets in the act of writing it. Keep a running log of the decisions you made and the ones you handed off to me, and review it on Friday. That single habit will teach you more about being an independent architect than any course or framework I could point you toward.
Practical and honest. That's a good place to land. The independent software architect isn't a title or a job posting. It's a way of working that's becoming available again to the right people, willing to think in whole systems. Claudine, thank you. And to everyone listening, start small, think big, and happy building. We'll catch you in the next one. Claude Code Conversations is an AI Joe production. If you're building with AI, or want to be, we can help. Consulting development strategy, find us at aijo.ai. There's a companion article for today's episode on our Substack. Link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.